Still on Flame, Book 1 of the Guilds of Avlaan series is available on Amazon. If you like fluffy wolf lolly protagonists and Japanese light novels, follow the link below to check it out.
Hello everyone, Leonardo Cornejo here, and I was a bit on the fence of making this video. But then I realized that the fence isn't comfortable. It hurts my ass, it hurts my balls, and I wanted to talk about it, because this is a way to clean my name and to, how do I say it, warn you about people on your side who will betray you, who will backstab you. I'm gonna clean my name on some accusations, really severe ones, and for the record, the reason these accusations were made, the foundation of these accusations, was political disagreement. The claim is invalid. I didn't do what they say I do, and the thing they could use as proof were views I have already exposed here in these videos, particularly in the one about Naofumi. So let's begin. The story begins with someone who claims that I, at a Discord server, was sharing, how do I say it, illicit content and on that Discord server, which is not true, because it was against, first of all, because I don't have it and it was against the rules of the server, so if I ever did, other people would have kicked me from there already. This person claims everyone else on the server sided with me in that regard, which is not true, because they didn't precisely side with me, they sided with the rules, which the rules were free speech overall and don't break the law. They didn't precisely side with me. Some of them actually find me extremely unpleasant and annoying, and that's fine. That's fine, I accept that. I am extremely bothersome. I accept that. The thing is, this person claims that. This person is a writer too, just like me. And I won't say his name. I will say all the story of how we met and how he fucked up and ended up slandering me. I could legally accuse him of libel if I wanted to, but since he lives in another country, he can legally just not attend the trials and disappear. And as long as he doesn't enter my country, because of the low severity of his crime, he can't be extradited. So basically, it would be cost-benefit inconvenient to do so. But I could accuse him of slander in a court of law because of what he said of me, because it is not true. But I don't care, so I will do this instead. As I said, I won't say his name because my purpose is not putting a target on him. People who are watching this probably will know who I'm talking about by listening to it all. So let's begin. We met by accident. I was trying to advertise my books. I was willing to do anything at that point, except for sucking dick. I was willing to do plenty of things to sell my books. And I went to Reddit, because someone who is no longer my friend, unfortunately for her, because it won't benefit her. Wait, hold on a second. Someone who is no longer my friend told me, maybe if you advertise on Reddit. I was like, am I desperate enough? And then another part of me said, with the loudest voice possible and doing a Abdul impression, yes I am! Yes, I was that desperate. So I went and started advertising on Reddit, where people hated me because they are woke. No, seriously, there were like some arguments over politics over at the Reddit thread, at the Reddit subreddit I went to, And these political arguments subsequently led to me just saying, you know what, fuck you. And this guy who did read some of my book, at least read the prologue, said your book is good enough. Why don't you come to this server and you start advertising there? The server was I think I can say the name of the person because, well, he's not the one in the negative here. He's entirely innocent of all these problems. He's not related to the problems, but it was Raging Golden Eagle who used to have a server. Then he basically nuked it after a series of sabotage incidents, but he used to have a server. And this person said, people there will like your book. The only warning is they are not politically correct. So if you can't handle that, you're better off not there. I was like, that's my target demographic. Well, one of them. And I jumped in and began to interact with people there. Over time, well, things happened. Well, I made friends there, first of all. We expressed many views, some more controversial than others, and eventually we made friends. Something happened, some infiltrator reported the server, and the server didn't get initially removed. It was just temporarily locked, and then Raging Golden Eagle said, well, basically I will keep it only for a few announcements because I'm tired of maintaining a server in this place which I rarely visit. I'm rarely active here. And we moved on to, we made another server independent of his, so that we could continue basically the same pace we had at his server. As you can tell, that's the part where Raging Golden Eagle ceases being relevant to this long while. But eventually he will return, and you will know why. The thing is, this person and I were still interacting, but not so friendly anymore with each other. I was not in agreement with some of his views, and he would often insult me because of that. First of all, he was a complete, full-blown MGTOW, and of the actually misogynistic kind, as legitimately hating women, and not the kind of misogynist made up by feminists, but the real kind of misogynist who would even admit being one because, well, he literally hates women. That's his prerogative. I won't tell him what to think, what to do. But the thing is, I don't. I still have some friends and relatives who are women. I still have a significant other. I still remember my ex fondly, even though she was flawed in ways I can't accept, too masochistic. But well, we parted in relatively cordial ways. Then we cut ties because it bothered her that I wasn't trying to go back. You know, that kind of immature and unreasonable thing I don't like. But well, she still, I remember her fondly. The thing is, I am not precisely a MGTOW, even though I basically don't follow the standards of society regarding men and women. I am not precisely against the existence of women. I don't hate women, and I also strongly oppose feminism. I basically consider women part of humanity, and as long as they are not jerks to me, I won't harm them. I don't like to get in trouble. I don't like to hurt people, so I basically don't mess with people unprovoked. The thing is, I do like having relationships, even if they are time consuming and I don't have many. I am picky with who I engage with. The thing is, that's what bothered him. I explained some of my views regarding women in general and relationships, potential solutions, which I think I have mentioned before. My advice is between the range of the youngest legal in your area, as long as they are not prepubescent, and 25 is the sweet spot. You could go older, because sometimes women who are already past 25 aren't necessarily bad persons. They are not necessarily there. Sometimes they are just unlucky. There is nothing wrong with them, but never single moms. And well, you can't go lower than youngest legal, and especially if that means going for someone who is prepubescent, then you're a pedophile and fuck you, because I don't think it is healthy. So basically, as long as you don't break the law, as long as you don't go for someone prepubescent, as long as you don't make a bad choice, you should aim for the youngest legal, and well, meet new people, you know, the normal things. But he insisted that doesn't work because all women are like that, they are born like that, you know, it's not feminism, they are born like that. And he insisted on that. I disagreed with him, and that led to constant insults. Insults which I, being naive and stupid apparently, mistook for banter. That's important for what I am going to say. I mistook his insults for banter, because we often, well, that was normal there. Using insults as a form of humor was part of the things that we did there. There was nothing wrong or abnormal with banter. As I mentioned before, it was a place where free speech was a priority as long as you didn't break the law, and specifically for avoiding legal trouble, and as long as you didn't basically act like a fucking snowflake. I don't want to use buzzwords, that's why I tried to find a better term, but yeah, like a fucking snowflake. Free speech was basically everything we wanted there, and banter was part of said free speech, so I passed his insults for banter. I was like, oh yeah, again, yeah, fuck you too, moving on. I didn't take it that personal. At that point, I still thought of him as a friend or potential friend. As I said, he invited me to that place, so I was like, well, it's not as if we were enemies, it's not as if we hated each other. So I misinterpreted his intent with all that banter. The thing is, eventually that will change. I was getting tired of him insisting on fucked up things, like saying, no, you gotta believe me, women are like that even as young as 12, so your idea that going for the youngest legal, I mean, if they are like that at 12, they are like that older, so since the youngest legal is never 12, you're fucked. And he even insisted, which I don't believe. I want to not believe him, and I don't have evidence, so I think he's either lying, or if he's not lying, then he has seen things that are not precisely healthy, because he insisted women as young as 12 would engage in sexual acts with dogs, according to him, as a way to convince me that not even below the youngest legal would be an option, that all women are like that. I was like, no, that's not true. I won't believe you, because that sounds made up. That sounds like you made it up to convince me. And he will reach a point where he will, since it was possible in that place to alter the usernames, he will change my username to Soybeaner and throw insults at me and say I was basically a leftist. All because I didn't agree with his views on women. His very jaded and unrealistic views, in which all women, not specifically feminists, were basically monsters. And he insisted there was no way to trust women and things like that, and well, that's his prerogative, those are his views, he's free to believe in them, he's free to have them. I don't take issue with that. I take issue with the insults, with the hostility to anyone who doesn't share them. That's what I take issue with. Subsequently, I will basically say, look dude, I disagree with you. And I wasn't the only one who disagreed with him, because he would start to show like certain homoerotic preferences, a certain homosexual inclination of preferring trans women and traps, femboys, over women. No joke. He began to show certain homoerotic inclinations and began to attack people, not only me, people who will share pictures of JAB models, you know, these well, in general Asian AB models, you know, Asian women in erotic contexts. And he will start saying that they were disgusting and that you know, traps are better, femboys are better. And I made a question with the nicest intention. No joke, I was trying to be like helpful and said, how come most MGTOW who start to border on misogyny eventually start acting homosexual and preferring men? And since there was like this discussion about how mainstream media and the globalist agenda was well, what we refer to as the globalist agenda was promoting homosexuality, I was like, aren't you basically caving into the agenda by by preferring biological males over women, by inclining to find sexually attractive these biological males over women? And that bothered him quite a lot. That made him angry. And I began to basically say, but it's true. I mean, why does it happen? I'm not joking. Why does it happen? And he began to insult me, and eventually I grew tired, and I was like, look, you constantly insult me, you constantly badmouth me, you constantly speak poorly of me, and throw insults which I mistook for banter, and I'm tired of you being that way. I questioned something valid. That was that you, as a MGTOW, and the other MGTOW began to find men sexually attractive because of your disdain for women. Eventually, I got logged off. At that point, I thought, because it happened, I thought it was because my internet broke. And it did fail. I couldn't even log on my phone or anything. But while I was basically busy trying to find out what was happening, the server began to have a talk about kicking me out of the fucking server, because I was, according to them, and more specifically according to him and one of the mods, who was a woman or trans woman, I'm not entirely sure, but they were really close. Ironic, isn't it? This guy was simping for a woman or a trans woman while being a misogynistic MGTOW. They were basically tired of me and trying to get me banned. And unilaterally, because no one objected, notice that it was not like someone said let's ban him, but the vote was anyone with an objection, speak now or stay quiet forever. No one objected, mostly because they weren't active. Since no one objected, they unilaterally banned me. But people began to notice, hey, why is he banned? Why is he banned? He didn't break a single rule. Here are the rules, he didn't break one. He didn't break the rules, so unban him. They began to vouch for me after I got banned. because I didn't break the rules. The rules were no illicit content, no left-wing politics, you know, a list of rules. I don't remember them all. They changed it afterward. Subsequently, the server, we moved on to another server, and I will explain why later on. But the thing is, I didn't break a single rule, and they were like, he didn't break the rules. All he did was questioning you. All he did was saying you were exploiting the rules, you were abusing him and other people, and you were a fucking idiot. He didn't break the rules, why are you punishing him? And they began to make excuse after excuse after excuse, and there was this argument of, well, he didn't break the rules, so the main administrator decided we are reinstating him. He didn't break the rules, so we are reinstating him. And that's when this moderator and the MGTOW guy got angry and began to say, if he returns, we are leaving. And meanwhile, I, unaware of the fact that they were deciding to reinstate me, mostly unaware, not entirely unaware, but because I was inquired by other members about why I was banned, and some of them began to vouch for me. We didn't know if we will be reinstated, and one of them made me a few questions about how I met everyone in the group. And they told me in that server, well, I know you're a fucking idiot, you're annoying, but he's fucking inconsistent. He's punishing you without you breaking the rules, and he's a lot more annoying. So I'm vouching for you, even though I don't like you. Things like that. Most of them didn't like me. They just vouched for me because they weren't hypocrites and because they were consistent, which I respect and admire, to be honest. Being consistent, being honest, being honorable is better than being nice to me. I don't need nice people as much as I need honest people. So basically they told me, we have no reasons to ban you, so we are lifting the ban. And these guys left. Both him and the mod left. The administrator said, well, this guy is unbanned, the other guys are gone, moving on. By the way, the conflict, and this is important because someone told me, oh, I'm so sorry for you, that's painful, that's unfortunate, I will say. And I told this person, unfortunate, I made sales from that. I became more visible, and since we both were writers, because this guy was a writer, since we both were writers, I accidentally got more attention because people began to compare. So I don't really feel bad for what happened. It was frustrating when I got banned, but I was like, well, I got banned, moving on. But well, in the end, I got unbanned. I wanted to know why I was banned, but I did. If I continued banned, I wouldn't cry, I wouldn't suffer, I would just move on. The thing is, it didn't happen. I returned, and they left, and I moved on with my life. We cut ties, never to meet again, I thought. Then I started hearing of him playing victim. Some said he was. The thing is, I almost forgot to speak about that. A few months later, the server got nuked. Goodbye, no more server. Moving on. Everyone moved on. Most of us stayed in touch and built a new server. But it was frustrating. That's true. It was frustrating to see our server, which we built with all this time and effort, which went through all these things, getting removed. Someone reported it for targeted harassment. The whole server was reported for targeted harassment. We don't know who did it. We don't know exactly what was, but there was certainly an infiltrator, because they knew we were very politically incorrect over there. Someone reported the server for targeted harassment. Am I going to say it was this person? this other writer? I don't think so, but I don't know. And sometimes I find it possible, but I doubt it was him. I doubt it was him. But while we were talking about that, reminiscing on the other server of all those things that happened, basically being a bunch of nostalgia idiots, he came into mention, and someone said he was playing victim on other servers, basically saying he had fights with other writers. And he said something which we didn't think it had anything to do with us, and that's because none of that happened. We were like, what other servers were this guy in? Because he said he got into a fight with a writer who will post how do I say it, illicit content featuring prepubescent humans. You know, the kind of content that Jared Fogle had on his computer. For reference, if you know who Jared Fogle was, the kind of content Jared Fogle had in his computer. That I was posting it on that server. Well, that someone, and that's the important part, I will explain why I said that this person, this other writer, was posting it on the server, and that everyone in the server was siding with this other person, with this other writer, and he got banned because he opposed that writer, that criminal writer. At that point, we were talking about it, and we were like, what kind of places did he frequent? I mean, what kind of place was he at? And someone even said, "You think?" I think it was the one who said it, and I was like, "I think it was." I said, "You think it was this server?" And everyone was like, "No way, it couldn't be. We don't post that here. We didn't post that in the other server. You never posted that. Nobody posted that because we were not going to incurring crimes. We're not that kind of people. So maybe it was another server. You know how Discord mods act." So we were like, nah, it couldn't be. It wasn't us. It had nothing to do with us. We were like, this guy was in some crazy servers then. And he probably spoke to many writers. The thing is, time passed, we moved on, didn't hear of him again, expected to never hear of him again. It was just a memory now. A bittersweet memory, since he did help me, and I'm grateful for that, and I actually consider his books good enough, his writing good enough, even if it was too political and somewhat preachy. And I considered buying his book. I considered buying his book back then. I considered supporting his series because he was a good writer with views similar to mine in regards to many things. But that changed when something happened. He was featured in one of the Making Entertaining Again segments of Raging Golden Eagles channel. This is important for context. He was featured in one of those segments, and he began to tell this story about, well, more like he began to tell this story about another writer, which I mistook for me, by the way. Another writer he had a fight with, who was, I think, a software or something like that. I thought he was talking about the other, about me, but and I thought he was trying to badmouth me. So I came to the server and to hear what he was saying, and when he said that, I began like, oh yeah, your literature's Jack Murphy. Why don't you tell them about why we banned you from the server? Why we really banned you from the server? And we didn't really ban him. More like, I didn't even say ban you. Why we didn't like you in the server or something like that. And at that moment I realized I fucked up. He wasn't talking about me. He was talking about another guy. But that at that moment, the theory that it was the other guy who was the one allegedly posting Jared Fogel's entertainment material, and that moment we realized we had it backwards. He began to say that wasn't true, that I was posting, and that's why I want to clean my name, because I don't want Raging Golden Eagle to think I was the kind of person he says I am, because that's bad for business. I normally don't care about the opinion of people, but when it comes to people who could benefit me, I don't want to make enemies. I don't want them to think I am like Jared Fogel, because that's bad for business, because damaging my reputation is bad for business. This guy began to say, allegedly I was posting and these kind of things, which seemed to shock Mr. Reagent and Toxicant quite a lot, and that he was the only one who stood up against me, and that that's how he got banned, which isn't true. And that's why I'm telling basically all the course of the story of how this guy basically began to insult me, provoke me, and when I responded with what I misinterpreted as banter, with banter, and that's exactly how the conflict began. Because it began because I said, hey, you often mock me, you often insult me, and that's banter, and now that I engage in banter back, you're complaining? No. The thing is, I misconstrued his intent. That's a reality. I misinterpreted his intentions. I assumed he was joking, that it was banter, but it was basically the guy trying to assert dominance and belittling me and claiming I was basically a cock, a leftist, all that kind of things. It wasn't joke, it wasn't banter, it was him trying to fuck me over. And I pointed at that. I thought it was banter, and I engaged in banter. And I did legitimately ask the question, because I do really think there are many MGTOW incurring in homosexual tendencies because of their disdain for women. The thing is, he tried to fuck me over. Didn't work. I confronted him, and subsequently he began to spread this rumor that I was sharing on that server child pornography, and that's why the server got nuked. I don't know if he was the one who reported the server, maybe he was. But in front of Reagent and Toxicant, he was like saying, "Oh, you need to gatekeep these people because they will infiltrate and they will destroy what you create." And he was basically claiming I was this woke leftist who shares Jared Fogel's fab material, who shares illicit material. That's a slander. That's libel. I want to clean my name. I want to make it clear. Those claims were him being a fucking salty asshole because we kicked him out of the server. We rejected him and his fuck body. I later on heard maybe it was a trans woman, but either way, his fuck body and him were declared undesirable because of their behavior, and he was salty over it. I would have avoided that unnecessary confrontation if I knew, and I really fucked up in that regard, if I knew he wasn't talking about me when he said he had a fight with another writer. I made a mistake of misinterpreting it as him talking about me. I wanted to clean my name. I don't know how many writers he fights with, because it is clear it is more than one. But the thing is, he's talking about gatekeeping someone he invited. That was one of the reasons they decided to not ban me, because they were like, well, he didn't break the rules. He just pointed at your preferences, something weird, and you invited him. They actually asked me, who invited you to begin with? Because that's what will determine your that will decide, that will be the deciding factor. And I was like, yeah, it was him, actually. And he was playing this game in which he was the fucking hero and I was a criminal of a really serious perpetrator of a really serious crime. I don't like to be slandered like that, and I want to clean my name. First of all, if you notice I speak weirdly, it's because it's hard to focus and I am playing a video game and at the same time while recording this, because I got some problems with electricity and I couldn't do everything like at the schedule I wanted, so I'm multitasking, which makes me dumber, and I'm not a native English speaker. That's in part why he used the nickname Soybeaner as an insult, because I'm Mexican. The thing is, this guy constantly insulted me, which I mistook for banter. He would often make really weird claims. I mean, the more I think about it, the more I find creepy that he said this thing about 12-year-old females having engaging in acts with dogs, because I'm like, well, if it is false, you are tripping. You really have a twisted, depraved imagination, and if it is true, how did you see it? How do you know? So, well, the joke's on him. He's the one who watched the who consumed Jared Fogel's entertainment, if what he's saying is real, if he really saw it. And if not, he's a fucking liar, which is probably the fact, because he's a fucking liar. He lied about me. He made claims about me which I can prove were false. And there are many witnesses. And well, I needed to clean my name because people watched that stream. They probably have heard of me. And it did damage my image. It's bad for business. I can't tolerate things that are bad for business. There are many fucked up things you could say about me which aren't true, but they aren't bad for business. There are many fucked up things which you could say about me which are true and are actually good for business, like my preference for lolly type characters. But something false and bad for business, something I really need to talk about. And well, that's it for today. I think I have done what I needed to do in that regard. I already explained why he made those accusations and why they are false. And I hope he's watching this, seething, angry, because I did respond. Took me a whole year to respond, if not more, but I did respond. Well, that's it for today. Have a nice day.